Welcome everyone to the Realty Debate. Is the real estate sector heading towards a prolonged slowdown? Is the party of the secular price rise in property across the country over? What are the telltale signs of the first 6 months of 2013 calendar year? And what does the future look like? Finally, will home buyers see a pause in prices? Or better still, will prices dip in markets where they have had a bumper run? Is the price in real estate over, or the party, as we said, done with? The biggest question of them all. So let's get going with the expert panel. Tarun Mehrotra, CEO of Puri Constructions, with me here in the Delhi studio. Rohit Raj Modi, Director, Ashiana Homes Private Limited. Sameer Jasuja, Founder and CEO of Prop Equity. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Mumbai, Revati Kasturi, Chief General Manager and Head Research and Grading Services from CARE. We have a special report from CARE as well on the real estate sector to give us some perspective. We also have with us Shashank Jain, Executive Director and Leader Real Estate Transactions Services, PwC India, and Sandeep Sant, CEO MumbaiPropertyExchange.com. So we've pretty much covered all corners. So we've got developers, we've got data analytics, and of course biggest data companies. And of course, we also have a broker perspective. What really prompted us in getting into the subject? Well, when you're faced with headlines like sluggish growth, realty companies selling land to peers, that's one headline that we read, where it mentioned that sales by JP Group to Gorsons and Vatica to 3 developers, ATS, Ashiana and Asotec as some of the examples. The other big story which prompted us, amidst stubborn prices in most of the real estate markets, HDFC Chairman Deepak Parekh said the residential price escalation now seems to be a thing of the past. The story went on to quote this most respected voice in corporate India. My view is that real estate prices should come down, at least on the residential side. The days of prices shooting up have gone. The first question I'm going to toss to Sameer, because I will come to the developers who are going to defend their position. Sameer, you've been meeting a lot of people, you've been out there in the market. What are you seeing? Is the price party over?
Well, I would say the party is over for the short term. I am actually slightly more bullish than Mr. Deepak Parekh is, although he's one of the most respected figures in the real estate industry. But he also predicted 3-4 years back that the prices are not going to go up anymore after the subprime crisis, and we've had the highest price appreciation after that. But having said that, I would agree with him much more this time. Short term, definitely the party is over. Transactions have slowed down substantially, especially in tier 1 cities, leaving aside Bangalore, because I think that is more of an end-use driven market, and it is bucked the trend because of employment generation. I think the story that we've been talking about all throughout for the past 1.5 years, and analytics has actually led us to believe that, is that infrastructure is not driving real estate, not being driven by any other factor as such except employability. And when the employment generation is actually at its maximum, that is when prices are appreciating. And today the confidence is gone with respect to the employees in the whole economy, because they're not getting they're not getting salary increases at this point in time. They're not willing to make commitments to large EMIs. And that is what is actually leading to the party actually getting over, besides the fact that the prices would also run up so much over the last 3 years that properties in tier 1 cities in most cases have become unaffordable.
I think a very pertinent point, which of course I am going to take with the rest of the panelists, the sentiments are down. And when sentiments are down, when people are not getting raises, when jobs are becoming harder and tighter to come by, then definitely real estate does take a hit. Look at this industry report. CARE says realty sector continues to remain fragile in FY13, and they've taken the first 6 months due to slow rate of approvals, regulatory changes in key micro markets, inflation impacting cost structures, and declining demand due to increasing prices. Tight liquidity position is also that they've spoken about. Also looked at a very key data point, that's exposure of banks towards real estate. There's been a declining loan trend there as well. In terms of foreign investors, they've become fairly cautious, not just with real estate, but across the country, investing with the rupee, uncertainty. Of course, that's not something which is top on their agenda. Now, they've also looked at some of the ratings and said that as a result of all the above factors, credit ratings of real estate developers were impacted in FY13. Many entities in real estate sector fell in CARE BB. Maximum, in fact, fell in, yes, CARE BB. going to get triple B of 26%. Revati, sum up the big negatives of the first 6 months. Have I read them all? But from your perspective, what is the biggest danger in the next 6 months?
The biggest danger, as Sameer pointed out, is affordability. What is happening is that if you look at different markets, then the prices have really run up in different markets in spite of the affordability being at FY09 or FY10 levels at the most. So this has led to inventory pile up across different markets, especially in the Tier 1 cities. The Tier 2 cities probably have fared better in terms of the inventory levels, but the Tier 1 cities definitely have seen an inventory pile up, sometimes 2 to 3 times more pile up. So that, I think, has impacted the liquidity of the real estate sector with lesser offtake. As you also read out in our report, we've talked about funding being drying up from the banks, from the different stakeholders who actually lend to real estate sector. One of them being in the last 3-4 years also PE funds, which have found exit difficult to get by in the present scenario. So, with the funding sources drying up and the affordability of people actually being at, probably 2-3 years before, we see an impact on the sector in terms of offtakes.
Tarun, how do you make homes more affordable? I think that's the crux of the matter. Last 3 years, raises have not come, job scenario hasn't improved, but home prices have risen.
Manisha, my first reaction to this entire debate is that this is a cyclical market. So anything, let's say in India, we are particularly spoiled. Which part of the world do you launch 500 homes and sell them off in 8 hours and 6 hours? And then if we don't sell 500 homes in 6 hours, then we say there's an inventory pile up because we take 3 months to sell 500 homes.